This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with KindaRealNate. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show. Not podcast show. I don't know what a podcast show is, but podcast show. It is
Pancakes.
Pancakes. That's what I need here early on a say. It's not even early, but it's early for us because we all stayed up till the crack of dawn. Anyway, this is how this show's going to go already. When the opening goes this way, we know that we're probably in trouble for the show. But thanks for tuning in today. It is time to talk about the playoffs for season 81 because they're in the books. A new champion has been crowned, or I should say a returning champion has been crowned, and I think it might be somebody on this show, so we'll see as we kind of get into it. But let me, as always, welcome in my two co-hosts, Mr. Maniac, Mr. D. Wayne. Guys, how you doing?
It's all good this morning.
Yeah, I thought you would say that, sir.
I was trying to give you a little more than the regular. We're good this morning, but I got my coffee. I slept peacefully last night, so I guess I can't complain.
Mr. Maniac, I was giving you an opportunity. That's all.
Yeah, that's like, well, we know it's not me, the champion. So
yes, Mr. D. Wayne is our champion, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. Thanks so much again for being up early. And, man, it's the off season, which is always a fun yet weird time. Like, guys are trying to make decisions for their teams, but they also are trying to get the most bang for their buck. And guys are also out there spending crazy and cutting guys like crazy. I think it's just going to be a crazy market. I think it's going to be a much better market than it was last season. I'm going to say this a million times this offseason. The purchase trade player does work. And because of that, we are going to be adjusting some rules. But you guys, as we kind of build our coaches, are now going to have to start thinking about, oh, okay, like I can't just put this all into player XP and getting more XP, that I actually have to like purchase this quarterback re-sign trade so that my guy who's asking for 5 years will take less than 5 years, because it does work. I was able to keep my import linebacker because of that. You have to offer the right amount of money. You have to have that trade, but they will do it and they will resign. But we'll have more time to talk about that later. Let's jump it in. Let's talk about the season 81 playoffs. Here's your seeding in the AFC. Number 1 seed was the Indianapolis Colts at 6-0. The number 2 seed was the Denver Broncos at 11-5. The number 3 seed was the Miami Dolphins at 10-6, who had a spectacular season. Cincinnati Bengals at 10-6, always Mr. Steady, had the number 4 seed. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the number 5 seed, at 13-3. And the number 6 seed, the New England Patriots at 10-6, the number 6 seed there. And the AFC over the NFC had the Dallas Cowboys, the number 1 seed, 14-1-1. The number 2 seed was the San Francisco 49ers at 13-3. And the champion from season 80. The number 3 seed was the New Orleans Saints at 10-5-1. The number 4 seed was the Detroit Lions at 8-8. The number 5 seed, what a number 5 seed, 12-4 Seattle Seahawks. The number 6 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-6-1. So that was how the playoffs laid out. It led to the Saints and Tampa Bay having their third matchup of the year. Detroit and Seattle having a matchup, Cincinnati Bengals and Jacksonville Jaguars meeting up, and then the Miami Dolphins and New England Patriots. That was your wild card round. What was kind of anything that shocked you coming out of that? What was kind of your favorite game in wild card round? What were your thoughts about Wild Card Weekend?
I'll let you go ahead, Maniac.
Well, wild card weekend was that it was wild. I thought we had some really good games, and to be honest, I'm kind of stuck away in my back room, so I'm not sure exactly what all the matchups were. I do know had UNate, and then we had the Seahawks that was also playing, I believe, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, they were playing the Lions.
And
then you had Bengals, Jacksonville, and Dolphins, Patriots.
Yes. Now, I tell you, the surprise team that really stepped up, I thought, was Kev and the Miami Dolphins. He really showed up in the playoffs. I mean, he played really regular season as well, but in the playoffs, he just seemed to, really step his game up. And I thought he was really going to give Dwayne a run for his money, but he definitely, Dwayne, with that stellar offensive juggernaut of a running attack that he has, just was too much for him and stuff. But on the NFC side, Massimo, just he dominated, and it kind of surprised me with his team and stuff. But he's a lot of young players on his team and stuff. And, I think he's going to be really.
I think we lost you for a second there.
Yeah, and my phone keeps cutting out, I think so. But in the walk that my team actually came out on top versus you because you had beat me. You beat me once, and then we tied one in kind of a crazy second game of the season. But you just both games you had offensively just really dominated me and stuff, and I couldn't really stop you on defense. But something happened in the playoffs, and my defense really played well against you in that game and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you forced me to 5 picks. It was a tough game, but you can't throw 5 picks, period. And it just snowballed on me, and I couldn't make it stop. I think for me, before I kick it over to Wayne about his thoughts for Wild Card Weekend, it was Cincinnati and Jacksonville, a 20-19 game. Jacksonville was 13-3. The Bengals a little bit of a down year compared to what they've done in the past, and so that was just a classic battle. I didn't get to watch it. I was out for work, and I know that there was like some wild, crazy, just weird plays at the end that happen sometimes, and so that was just kind of the game that stuck out to me for Wild Card Weekend. Dwayne, what do you think about Wild Card Weekend?
Like I said, I think you had 3 really close games. I mean, you had 3 games that were 1-possession games, and I think that's kind of what you hope for in the playoffs. You hate seeing blowouts in the playoffs, and they're prone to happen. I think you look at the Lions Seahawks game. We know that game should have been closer. I know how 0-0 is. He's still one of my favorite guys here. I know he got behind early and he got in his own head, or that game probably would have been closer. But like I said, you have already talked about y'all's game. You're talking about a game where New Orleans throws 5 interceptions. It still, honestly, was within striking distance, and really it was like a 2 or 3 point game, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much until the end. The Pats-Dolphins game was a real good game. They went back and forth the whole game. Kevin honestly just happened to get the ball last and didn't hardly leave any time left for the Patriots to make a score. Sorry, Jenna walked in and showed me something that was disgusting. So Bengals and Jaguars honestly was my favorite game of this one because, like Nate said, it was very interesting because the Bengals, and I say 10-6 for most teams is a good year. You make the playoffs, you're 10-6. That's not a good year for Cincy. Cincy, honestly, he named me 12-13 wins and that's just a down year for him. And I did think that he took all season. He was trying to find his rhythm. He never did kind of set in place toward the dominant Cincyburg that we're kind of used to. But that game right there, Brady, man, had it in hand. He shanked a field goal up by 2 with about 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left. I'm not sure what happened. It was like a 37-yard field goal, and it's almost, I don't know if y'all have ever had that for us bad internet people. when you click up, and if you miss the X on the way up, you literally never clicks and it goes all the way down and it shanks it.
Yep.
And I'm almost certain that's what happened to Brady. I'm not sure, but that's the difference between being up by 2 and you let Cincy drive and kick a last field goal, a 59-yard field goal, or 61-yard field goal, I think. He did have like 11-mile-an-hour wind behind him. It was a perfect storm for Cincy. But if Brady hits that field goal, he's up 22-17, and Cincyburg honestly loses this game because he ran out of time. He got Brady had stopped him held him inbounds with no timeouts. He got the ball and did an out route to the little running back with 1 second on the clock. 1 second, he got out of bounds. 61-yard field goal won the game. It just goes back to, I hate to say, you leave points on the board, you miss a field goal. Instead of being up by 5, you're up by 2, and you leave the door open for someone like Cincyburg, and the Madden gods make you pay for it.
Yeah, I've had that happen before too. If you miss it at the top, even though you click the button, if it doesn't register at the top, you're screwed. It just totally it doesn't register. Well, that moved us to the divisional round where we had a matchup between Dallas and Tampa Bay, the number 1 and 6 seed, Seattle and the San Francisco 49ers meeting for the third time this season, the number 5 and 2 seed. In the AFC, it was the Colts and Bengals 1 versus 4, and then the Dolphins and Broncos 3 versus 2. Broncos are another team in the AFC that just like very quietly had a really great season. Number 2 seed, like the Dolphins, like just didn't hear us talk about those two teams a ton. You didn't hear like a lot of buzz about those two teams, but still 3 and 2 seed in the AFC, and they played to a classic. And that was kind of the game that I look at and say was one of the better games. A little bit of a high-scoring game, but two teams that really went at it. Two teams, the Dolphins with a rookie all-pro quarterback that's going to be probably a Hall of Famer in this league. And then the Broncos with what's going to probably be a Hall of Fame wide receiver import that he brought over. Just a lot of offensive firepower, but those two guys played to a really great game there in the AFC. Dolphins come out on top, puts them in the AFC Championship. I think their first ever AFC Championship, so congratulations to Kevin and his Dolphins. Always a team that I pull for, but always one of those teams you're not quite sure what you're going to get. But I think he really showed something in this playoff and this season. D-Wayne, what do you think about the divisional round? Cowboys, Tampa Bay, Seattle 49ers, your Indy Colts versus the Bengals, and then the Dolphins and Broncos.
Well, I think you had a few surprising ones here. I think, and if anybody tells me any different, I think they're lying. I honestly thought most of us thought the Buccaneers would just beat the Cowboys just on the fact. I think you're experience-wise, the Buccaneers have been here. They've been in the playoffs. They know how the playoffs go. And the Cowboys just came in and played really good defense, if I'm not mistaken. I couldn't remember how many turnovers they caused. Five interceptions.
Five interceptions.
And there's a lot that goes into that. I couldn't tell you right offhand. I was watching the game on and off if they were user picks or just computer picks. But a defense that plays like that in the playoffs, and Maniac said that before we got on the show, is defense, especially in this playoffs, prevailed. I know we looked at that 38-31 game for Denver-Miami, but for the most part, defense prevailed. And if you go down that Broncos and Dolphins game, which is the only one I got to watch all the way through this one, and it was a heck of a game. I think we got to give Glaze a lot of credit, what he did with Chad Kelly at quarterback. I think that's really underlooked. Somebody that can play that good. And Glaze, a lot of people sleep on Glaze. He doesn't get the recognition that a lot of people get. He's either had really good seasons or really bad seasons. I think I don't know if he just tanks some seasons just to see what he can get. But when he's engaged and playing, he's a really, really strong player. And he's probably one of the best aerial attacks we have here, which helps when you have a 6'6" receiver who runs a 4.2. That really makes you want to throw the ball more to him. But nonetheless, he is a great offensive player, and this speaks volumes on Kevin. And kind of like you said, Kevin, we've always had that joke about Kevin. We'd all pick Kevin, and Kevin would lose, and then Kevin would say, "I'm sorry I let y'all down," but Kevin came through and won these playoff games to start. He's beat New England, he beat Denver. That's two really good teams that you beat. And you go down to Seattle, I guess he broke the Big Hurt curse, at least for this season. Big Hurt had his number for the first couple seasons. I think 5-0 against him over these first two seasons.
I believe that's correct.
I always told Mo, I think we're gonna have the Ducks effect. I always said Ducks was the only thing holding Mo back for all them seasons. When he finally got over the Ducks mountain, he just won 4 straight championships. So I was hoping we were gonna go for the 4 straight championships this season, but he did get over the Big Hurt effect. Big Hurt played a great game. It was a great game all around. Big Hurt's been in control of that division, and for the most part, been in control of the NFC. I know the Cowboys #1 seed, but Big Hurt has been in control of the NFC for 2 seasons now. And to see Mo win that game was a huge win for him. If I had to, me and Cincy's game was a lot closer to the 30-17 score shows. I think it was 23-17 with 3 minutes left when I just got lucky. He called a blitz, and I just happened to be running the opposite way of the blitz, and Keith Marshall took it to the house. It was a lot closer. The game was closer than the final score shows. But I think, like I said, you even got to look at this round that the scores don't look quite as close, but it was still a very competitive, enjoyable OMFL divisional round.
Yeah, Mr. Kevin is even watching us live right now. So he says, good morning, Kev. We were super impressed by what you did, and we'll talk about your AFC championship here in a minute. Maniac, what'd you think about the divisional round? Again, I know you can't see it, so I'll give you Cowboys, Tampa Bay. Of course, that was your game. Seattle, San Francisco, Colts, Bengals, and then Dolphins, Broncos. I do have to ask, though, I know that you had to step away for just a little bit, and because of that, you had to give up your favorite team. Did it sting just a little bit extra to have to go down to Dallas and lose to your old team?
No comment.
Well, what did you think about the divisional round?
Well, the divisional round was very exciting, actually. I mean, AFC side, like I said, with Kev and the Dolphins, really stepping up. And, like Jake Lake, like you said, he played an excellent season, and Dwayne made mention doing it with Chad Kelly. Just makes you wonder if he had one of these top tier quarterbacks, what he might do over there and stuff. So, and then also with Cincy and Indianapolis's game, I did catch a little bit of that. It was kind of back and forth, and then like Dwayne said, he got lucky with that run going the opposite way, and just once that happened, it's just kind of like a snowball effect. It just seems like, and then on the NFC side, let's see, we had the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. That was just gritted out to the bitter end for both those teams. I watched that one. Seattle did get over Big Hurt's reign over his team that he'd had so far in this Madden.
It's so hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yes.
I mean,
it's
it's like you do your part, you win both of the matchups so you can win the division, and then they're like, well, congratulations, you get to play them a 3rd time. It's like, what?
I know. I was really shocked that we had to face again. I was like, oh man, this 3rd time, because you've already 2 games underneath your belt in the season, and if you've played, I don't care if you've even just blew the other team out. Once it seems like it gets into the playoffs, it's just anything can happen type of deal, and Seattle just I believe Big Hurt missed a game-winning field goal at the end that could have won it for him, and he banked it off of the upright, I believe, and after that, just Mo never looked back in overtime and took it down and scored, and that's it's just one of those things, and then I guess I have to, Massimo, I'm sorry, but I gave you the game, dude. I had three red zone turnovers, which that's at least 9 points pretty much left on the field, and it was like within the 5 yard, and all 3 interceptions. I kind of got away from the run myself. I'd been without Jones pretty much the whole season, so I got used to relying on Teddy 2 gloves Bridgewater for the season, and it just kind of bit me in the going into this game and stuff. But I should have, if I could have kept at least one of those and punched it in for a touchdown, this game would have been really a different outcome, I think. But kudos to Massimo because LVE Landervish, man, he's insane in the middle and so quick, so fast. It's like a safety playing linebacker. He's just all over the field, and I'm not saying that he's breaking FBR, but man to man, he can cover a wide receiver easy, and so that brings up matchup issues. With wide receiver with LVE, and so, but that's it in a nutshell. It was down a divisional round.
Yep, it was a great divisional round. That leads us to the Dallas Cowboys versus Seattle Seahawks in the NFC, and the Indianapolis Colts versus the Miami Dolphins in the AFC. The Indianapolis Colts come out on top 26-23 to put them in their fourth OMFL Bowl, I think. Is that right?
Say that again, Nate. For a second.
Is that your fourth OMFL Bowl?
It's the sixth one I've been in.
Oh, excuse me.
No,
sixth OMFL Bowl. And then that's Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, Seattle was a 4-time back-to-back champion. But Massimo, in I think maybe his first NFC championship game, he comes out on top 19-7. So really two dramatically different games there. NFC, you would think it would be the other way, where NFC would be the high-powered offensive game. The AFC would be that grinded-out defensive game, but it really was flip-flopped here. What did you guys think about the NFC and AFC championship? We're going to kick it over to you first, Maniac.
6 Super Bowls?
I can't even say
nothing.
We wouldn't want to hear it if you did say
it. Dang. Man, I'm still just floored. Just like 6, man. No, well, you look at the Super Bowl. It's a classic flip, basically, because Dwayne comes from the NFC. He's played in the NFC for so many years, and that's where he won all of his Super Bowls. And Massimo comes from the AFC over to the NFC, but they kind of still have that same mentality. Massimo is the, gunslinger, throw it 400 times a game, and Dwayne's like, let me just run the rock 50 times and just barrel down your throat and make you like it. And and that's the way this game kind of turned out. Dwayne just got in his niche and took down, took it down the field. Just seemed like five yards a pop with Bo, and even when Bo wasn't in there, I don't know who's your backup running back.
It was Hines, and he got hurt the very first run.
Kevin Marshall.
We went with Marshall and Dixon.
Marshall. Yeah, I remember there was a backup guy, but he was just as quicker than Bo, but he was just as effective. And once Dwayne kind of got that rhythm going and stuff, it seemed like it threw Massimo off his game, and he kind of had one of those fight moments, I think, that just he couldn't get over. It was definitely a very good game. You could see that Dwayne set up his dominance with that rushing attack in this game, and it prevented.
Wayne, talk about the AFC NFC championship.
Well, I mean, you look at the Colts Dolphins game. Me and Kev, I think he actually took a lead going for most of the game. He was ahead. It was a really clean game, or really good game, but it wasn't a very clean game. Nicholas scored. He threw 5 picks. Luck threw a pick. Like I said, I haven't been trying to. I didn't want to use the Bo. Bo's been out since week 15, so I've kind of had to have running back by committee since week 15. And I just knew I was kind of not going to try to, jinx myself and say Bo will come back for Super Bowl. That's when he comes back. If I have a chance at Super Bowl, Bo will be back for Super Bowl. But I had to pick. Me and Marshall have been on the fence all season.
I didn't realize that. I don't want to cut you off. I did not realize that you lost your starting running back for the entire playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of got greedy in week 15. I should have slowed him down a little bit, knowing that I had a lock for the playoff, at least a playoff spot. tried to run the ball. Second or third run of that game, I think he did something to his shoulder, and it was exactly Super Bowl. He would come back in Super Bowl if he came back. And I had picked Marshall up. Hines had been hurt twice this season, so I kept picking Marshall up. And so I said, I'm keeping Marshall. We'll cut somebody else. We'll keep Marshall, Hines, and Dixon. And they pretty much ran by committee. Nobody ran extremely well. But that game was a good game. I think the Dolphins came out against me, and they ran the ball super, super well in the first half. I tried to kind of re-engineer the defensive strategy, and I was like, well, I'm going to try to make him beat me deep, and I'm just going to try to take away his running game. And it turned around. He made a couple throws that even for him sailed on him, and I think that was what, gave it away. Like I said, I got the ball with like 3 minutes left, and I just kind of grinded the ball down the field and kicked a field goal as time expired to win the game. Great game by Kev and the Dolphins. He has nothing to look down on this season. He played a great season. I told him, man, that, 5 picks and you lose by 3 points, it could just as easily been you winning this game. And then you go to the Cowboys and Seahawks game, a game that I think ended, you were talking about the AFC being an offensive game, this being a defensive game. And I think we all looked at Massimo as an offensive juggernaut. I think his defense came out this playoffs and, man, just made a statement that they're there too. We have a great offense, but we have an awesome defense too. And I will say, Massimo is one of the best. I think he's a very improved and probably top 5, top 7 user linebacker here. And I think it showed this playoffs. I think he really stepped up. He really played really well with him, and the defense spoke volume. Anytime you can hold Mo, and I know Maniac brought to everybody's attention that Mo's playing like a 72 overall team. I think this is actually supposed to be Mo's tank season that he won 12 games. So if anybody wants to feel bad, Mo tried to tank and won 12 games. Just so y'all know that.
Well, let's just reframe try to tank. If you want to see try to tank, you have to look at D-Money. That dude tried to tank. No, I shouldn't even say that. He tanked. Mo did not try to tank with 11 wins.
Well, I think Mo, the first season, I think he traded off all his veterans. Yeah. All his veterans, and he missed like the first 4 games. I could be wrong on that one, and I think he thought his CPU was going to get beat. Well, his CPU played like a championship team with 72 overall. And just to make y'all even more sick, I just want y'all to know Mo has the number 3 pick in the draft. I want y'all to know that. Everybody wants to be happy. If I ever have a professional team, Mo is going to be my GM. I just want y'all to know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he talks guys into this stuff.
I don't know. I know. I think he does something in sales in real life. I think he really brings it over to the OMFL. I think he's a hell of a salesman. He's probably like a Dwight Schrute.
I don't know, man.
That was my office joke for this morning. But it was a hell of a game. I'll get back to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. And it was a good game. I think it's something that I didn't think was going to happen. I think Mo had a great defense, but I thought the offense in this game would jump up. Both teams played good defense. Even if you hold the Cowboys to 19 points, most teams think they'd win that game. But it was a great game. I think it was a slight surprise. And anytime you say a 14-1-1 team is a surprise that they won, beating Mo and beating Maniac, you're beating 2 championship caliber teams that's how you have to make the playoffs. There's no easy games in the playoffs, and you have to beat championship caliber teams to make it there. And the Cowboys, like I said, they played 2 great games to get themselves into the Super Bowl, the OMFL Bowl.
Yep, that brings us to OMFL Bowl number 81, which is really hard to believe, but that gives us the Indianapolis Colts at 16-0 versus the Dallas Cowboys at 14-1-1, and the Indianapolis Colts are going to come out of this one victorious 19-14. Now, normally, Dwayne, is this your 4th championship?
Yes.
Yeah, so for his 4th championship, congratulations. Normally, we stream this, we make a big deal out of it. I pump out a ton of cool graphics, and we do commentary. Usually, Maniac and I will jump on and do commentary, but I had a previous engagement with my family last night and didn't get home until 10:30, and actually was out of electricity when this game actually took place. A car hit a pole or something. We had no electricity here at our apartment all day yesterday, so I wouldn't have, even if I was home, been able to stream. So that was a little down. I really enjoyed doing that. I think it's something that's become special here, but I didn't get to see the game. I couldn't even find the score until I logged into Madden last night. That's how out of it I was as I came in. So Maniac, Dwayne, talk about the game. Or Maniac, let me throw it to you. Did you get to watch the game? I'll let you talk about it, and then Dwayne can give us his firsthand account of how this game went.
Well, I did watch it off and on, and I had to apologize because I kind of skipped out a little bit when you were talking, and I already talked about the Super Bowl loss. I missed talking about the NFC and the AFC Championship, but again, 6 Super Bowls, Dwayne. Congratulations on your 4th championship. It was one of those games. It could have went. It was a stark difference between the philosophies of the coaches. No guy that's going to gunsling it. He's going to throw it 400 times a game. Like receivers really involved in the game, and he's got a really good underrated, I think, tight end also. And Everett, with rookie quarterback Archer, I mean, he couldn't have asked for a better pick. I think he got rid of, and he went with the youth movement. He's got a good offensive line, and he's going to be if he can maintain the general manager. And this game it played to his strengths. It just got the lead and got that little bit of run going. And I see Massimo comment in the in the chat saying, 5-yard every he's like bowl up the middle 5 yards, bulldoze. And he's like, nobody could pull anybody down. Like, how do you do it? He's just kind of. But that's Dwayne. He's always been that way, and just pound the rock. And this game it was a typical Dwayne game, and he came out a champion.
The phone gods are not being kind to our buddy Maniac this morning. Damn you, phone gods. Yeah, it was. I played the Colts this past year. I had like murder's row of like I think it was like the Jags, the Colts, the 49ers, the Seahawks. It was I thought about suicide many times during those 4 weeks. It just was not fun to do. It's just like there's just something about like when you call the right play and he still gets 5 yards. You're like, what do you do? Like you turn the game off. That's what you do. You just you're like, I'm done. It's so infuriating, and this one looks like it was one of those games. It sounds, though, like Massimo was breaking one of my golden rules of no chatting during the game and chat. Nothing good ever comes out of that, Mr. Massimo. So let's just.
I don't think it was during the game. I think
it was after the game. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Dwayne, give us your firsthand account of the ball game, and don't play this Mr. Humble crap. Tell us really what happened.
Well, I think like I even said it. I'm not saying Bo is just the lifeblood of my team because I feel like I can still run the ball decent without Bo. But you just, like Maniac said, if you can run the ball, and it just seems like Bo falls forward. If he gets tackled, he falls forward. If 2-yard loss, it goes to a 3-yard gain. And that's a huge difference. You're talking about a 5-yard differential there. And going from, second 12 to second 7 really, keeps your options open to what you can do. It was a great game. I think I kicked off first. We kind of back and forth. It's kind of like we're trying to get a feel for each other. I ended up kicking a field goal, which I'm content with kicking field goals. He had a kick return touchdown, and it was really gut wrenching. He just ran it right down my throat. Nothing fancy about it. Came up, hit another field goal, and then right before the half, I ended up going up 9-7. It was really a defensive game all around. Like I said, I had to settle for 3 field goals, but like I said, I was running the ball well. Bo ran the ball well. Marshall ran the ball well. Hines, who I love, I can't even say his first name, Hines, but he's the most injury-prone guy I've ever seen. He's been hurt 3 times this season, but he's super fast. Luckily, I kept Marshall on the team. but the Cowboys secondary shut down pretty much anything I could do passing wise. And when I did have somebody open, I just had to bite the bullet and take the sack. Like I said, D. Law was in the backfield. David blitzed a couple times. I think Van Der Esch blitzed a couple times. The first half was very defensive oriented. Both teams were just on each other. I mean, it was just a close game. The second half came out. Massimo did start moving the ball better. Like I said, I think the final score was 19 to. What was the final score? 19 to 13? I can't even remember what the final score was.
I believe that's correct.
19. Wait, I just had it up and
1914.
Took my eyes off of 1914.
Yeah, it was pretty much like I said. I got another field goal, go up 12-7. Fourth quarter, it was a defensive juggernaut game. I think we've already stated that a couple of times. It was a defensive game. Both teams trying to get a feel for each other. I came into the game wanting to run the ball and just not turn it over. Worst case, I'm fine with punting the ball. I've told Dawson that. I've told a few people that. The biggest thing is, just don't turn it over. If you turn the ball over at 35-yard line, he's already in play for points off the bat. If worst case, if you have to punt the ball, make him drive 50 yards before he has to get points. That's a big difference, making somebody earn points rather than give them points. And so I was content with, running the ball, taking what I could down the field. And I finally did get a break. Byron Jones was covering Rashad Perriman, and he brought the house on a 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4 play, which I don't blame him bringing the house. He probably thought I was going to go to Bo down the middle. There's a double move on the outside, and Perriman just did beat Byron Jones, just enough steps. And I got my long, deep pass to the game, got me in position, and then I scored a touchdown to go up 19-7. He drove down. He really burned a little too much time with the clock. It took 5 minutes to score, which left him only about 1:51 left on the clock when he scored to go 19-14. He tried the onside kick. I'm not saying I disagree with it because I guess in his position he felt like that was his best chance to get the ball back right then. And if y'all can tell me, I don't think I've seen an onside kick work this season.
I haven't seen one.
I haven't seen last couple matches. Everyone see one happen, and you almost knew when it was going to happen. You see, if your guys didn't catch the very first bounce, you knew that trouble was fixing to happen. But I got the ball, and like I said, Bo broke a first down the first run, and he called all 3 timeouts. And then last one, I ran a halfback power with Bo, and he just happened to – it's kind of like in the sense again, he blitzed to the opposite side, and Bo just had a wide open 15-yard run to seal the game. It was a great game all around. It was – if you were coming to the game looking for offense, I'm sorry, we really disappointed you. It was not an offensive game. It was a very, very well-played defensive game. There was no interceptions thrown. There was a fumble on his running back that set me up to go 19-7, which is unfortunate because he had played a very clean game up to that point. It was a very good game. He's the well opponent. Him and the Cowboys are solid. I think they're going to be a good team for years to come. And like I said, there's a lot of teams. I could have looked at the Dolphins. I could have looked at I'm trying to think. Cincy, both those teams could have just as easily been in my place. I mean, you're talking about close games. I think we had a great playoffs. I think it was, there was no clear-cut favorite, in my opinion, in the playoffs. I think all games were really close. I think you could have went a bounce, 2 bounce here. You're talking about other teams could have been in position where I was at. It was a great playoffs. It was a great OMFL bowl. Massimo was a hell of an opponent. And I think, unless somebody changed it, Massimo's got a team to win for many years now.
And that's what's called a humble brag, my friend. 16-0. I think that there was a clear favorite going into these playoffs, and that guy won the ball. And I couldn't be happier for you. I know that we all give you a hard time, but D-Wayne truly is one of the nicest guys around here. I think I'm a really nice guy, but D-Wayne is even nicer than I am sometimes when I get really put out with some things that happen as a commissioner that happens. But, man, it couldn't happen to a greater guy, and congratulations on your 4th OMFL Bowl here. And we'll get that trophy out to you here really, really soon and add to your little collection. It's just it was a great, great playoffs. There were a couple of things I did want to just briefly mention. Look, there's a whole, Nate's rant video out there that you guys can go watch, but I still see some things that are super concerning for me, and that is that linebacker user coverage. even hearing you guys talk, even watching the playoffs, I use her a safety. And I was lucky enough that he won co-defensive player of the year this year. He got the Pro Bowl. Like, I have learned how to play really well with him. But it does leave me open and susceptible to some types of plays, right? And so I've even thought about, like, maybe I should try moving to the linebacker, and because a fast, good user linebacker is a game changer. He can shut down the run and the pass in the middle of the field, and it really limits what you can do on offense. But man, I don't know. Like, there is some gray area if you're covering a running back or a fullback and they stay. What do we do? We got to talk about this as FPR, as a board. Like, do we say that you have to then go blitz the quarterback, right? Because if the computer's playing the middle linebacker, it's going to blitz the quarterback if the running back or fullback stay. And what we're seeing is, if the running back or fullback stays and the middle linebacker is covering, and that's a user middle linebacker, that guy now roams and he now, like, covers a whole bunch of the field, right? I'm still seeing guys. Look, I'm just, not trying to call him out. Just, it is what it is. Okay, I'm not going to do that. There is a team here that was in the playoffs that is a very good user linebacker guy, but doesn't follow the play art a lot of times, right? Will get out of his zone a lot of times. Will not follow the running back or the fullback. And I'm fine with that if it happens once or twice, right? But 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a game, like no, like, that's a problem. So I think we can still do better. I will get some clarity from the board on their thoughts. That whole, if the running back, fullback stays, what do we think the expectations are, right? Because I do see the expectations are right now that they get to float a little bit. They get to cover the middle of that field. And again, I go back to, you go buy two good cornerbacks like the Falcons, the Cowboys, like a couple of these other teams have. You put two stud cornerbacks on the outside, and then you use a middle linebacker. Like, there are not a lot of options for the offense, right? Like, there's just nowhere to go with the ball because you're shooting gaps and killing the run, but you're also taking away the middle of the field. It just, it severely limits. And so the payoff is if you use the middle linebacker and you cover a running back, right? And we say that if the running back stays, you have to go in after the quarterback, then that gives you some options, right? It doesn't make it all that cover two, that cover two man play where the middle linebacker covers the middle zone. Like, that's a devastating play if you have two stud cornerbacks. And what's happening is every man defense is turning into that play, because if the running back or fullback stays, that linebacker then floats off into the zone, and it becomes a problem. And then the other problem that I just continue to see is there's a handful of guys. There's not many, because it is a very difficult user skill to learn. Have learned how to take that linebacker, play 7 to 10 yards underneath the player that they're covering, and getting those, crazy user lurk. Maniac, the exact play that we seen in our game, but you weren't using. It was done by the CPU, right? Where that ball is like, it's 15 yards away. The player that you're throwing to is 15 yards away from where the interception happens. But because you use a bullet pass, right, that Madden gives you that user lurk. And there's a couple of guys here that have mastered that skill, and to me that's against FPR, right? Even if we can, like, argue that you're not doing anything against FPR, the whole purpose of FPR is to keep things fair, and that is, in my opinion, using a game flaw to your advantage, which is against the FPR. It's the same thing of using a defensive tackle, right? We all know defensive tackles in this Madden, for whatever reason, are just like monsters, and so we had to put in a rule that says nobody can use a defensive tackle, because they were A, blowing up every run, and B, they were sacking 20, 30 sacks a year on the quarterback. Well, you're completely shutting down the offense with one player. That's not what we want, and that's why FPR exists. So that's my little mini rant about it, but it sounds like you guys have some feelings about that.
Well, mine's not necessarily about the linebacker. Now, I get what because I will say that with Kev's game, my guy, it was a play action pass, and of course I bid on the play action. I would not say I'm a top tier user linebacker. I bid on the play action, got to my zone late. I was in that left side zone, pretty much right over the top of the left tackle. And by the time I got there, his guy was 15 yards down the field. And honestly, just in frustration and being mad at myself, I hit the triangle button, and my Scooby Wright looked like LeBron James going up for a rebound. And he took that ball, and I told Jenna, I said, I'd be mad. I feel like that was, I feel bad on my part, even though I took it back to the house for a touchdown. I felt bad on my part, but like I said, that's just, I don't know how you, honestly don't know how you stop that.
But look, 3, 4, 5 plays a year like that is fine.
Right.
When you're getting 18 picks a year and you're doing them all that way, that's when that's a problem. Because I had the same thing happening against Tampa Bay, and I felt bad too. Like, I bit hard with a safety on the play action, but because I'm safety and he was covering deep, like I still had some leeway there. I got back into the zone where I was supposed to be. I got a user pick. I didn't take it back like you for a touchdown, but I got a user pick. And I felt a little bad because, like, I did bite and I was able to get my guy back. But, like, that's fine if that happens a couple times a year. Like, it's purposely taking my guy and pulling him, 15 yards away from a player to make him look open and then using a user alert to get an interception. Like, doing that on purpose is different than biting hard on a play action. It just is. And you can tell when a guy has bit really hard on a play action is now trying to recover his butt off. You can tell the difference between that and a guy who's taking advantage of that, in my opinion, user alert flaw of the game.
And
right.
Now I was just saying my other one before I let Maniac cover in the covers is, and I don't know if some guys do it on purpose, because I've seen people's excuses where that's what when I called the formation, that's what it did. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong here, guys, correct me. But just bringing 8 guys in the box every other play, and I understand the play art does that, but it's really simple. And I'm a person, I don't mind. I get it. Hey, if you're getting run on all game, you want to put some 8 guys in the box. That's cool. And I'm not just talking about my games. I watch a lot of games throughout the year, just for FPR reasons. And you see it, but it's really easy to switch out of that.
Yep.
Base the line out of it. But I'm not saying you can't put 8 men every once in a while. But you shouldn't start the game. I watched the game not too long ago, and if I could be wrong on the numbers with Nate, but I think it's 48% of the plays for 8 men in the box. Yep. And that's way too many. And it's just really easy to move out of it. The base the line, literally. And you can base the line as soon as everybody breaks the huddle, and nobody will know you base the line.
Because the play that you called is going to put them in the box. It's either a cover 3, a cover 1, right? It's like those types of plays where that safety's coming down to cover the tight end, the running back, the fullback, like one of those guys. And so he's coming down to do that. And it does. It automatically does that. But you're 1,000% right. Like, if I just called, a 4-4 followed by cover 1 followed by cover 3. Well, that's 3 plays in a row where there's 8 people in the box. I need to base the line. I got to get these guys out of here, or I got to just go manually, because I'll do that. I'll go manually hit that player and just get him out of the box, right? So, yeah, I agree with you. Guys got to work on that.
Well, I get the whole thing. The safety's supposed to cover that flat. That's why he's coming up to the line. There is other ways to help that. I will say that against Kevin, I had an interception for that reason. I think I called a cover 3 that brought Neal up to the box. I base-aligned it. He went back. All I did was I went to underneath coverage, to where as soon as the ball snapped, he's going to try to play the underneath coverage, and he did. He ended up getting the interception because as soon as the ball snapped, he was going to his zone, which was right off the, in that flats area. I went underneath coverage, which does make you – anything you do is going to leave you susceptible to something else. If you go underneath coverage, you're more susceptible to deep, vice versa. That's just part of football. There's no way you can guarantee yourself to stop a play. That's the fun of it. It's a chess match. If you call this and the offense calls this, then that's just the way it goes. Yeah. And we talk about chess match. Best games you play is a chess match where I call this, you call this. Let's see whose play call is better. It gets. And like I said, I just seen it, and the game I seen was it was a regular season game, wasn't a playoff game. but it was 48% in the box, and that's just way too much. I know I don't think we have an exact number on what you're supposed to do, but it does not need to be nearly 50%. And I'll get off. I don't want to sound like a rant. I'll go get me some more coffee, but I'll let Maniac talk a little bit now.
No, I start getting nervous around that 30 to 35 mark range. When you start doing anything in this game that high, it makes me nervous. Maniac, I know you got some thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, the box. I think that's a really good point. You know, with what Dwayne said about you can base the line before you even get to the line of scrimmage. I know with me and stuff sometimes with my with my internet sometimes it seems like I'm playing catch up because I won't see the line of scrimmage and things like that. So I'm like frantically trying to get the safeties to move back and stuff a lot of times. But guys, I've played against it. I've seen it, watched it. You'll have guys bringing that up, and one of the more devastating 8 men in the box is a spread or a
My
wide.
God, somebody breaking into Dwayne's house and kidnapping him? Is that
They're
Mo?
still in the Super Bowl trophy.
Mo is kidnapping Dwayne so that he never plays in another Super Bowl here.
That's hilarious. But they'll go in a wide defensive formation, like a wide 9, and then load the 8 men in the box, and you got the whole field across the whole line stacked, and there's nowhere to go. To me, that's one of the more ugly ones because if guys stack the box close, I'm going to audible probably to an outside run. But it seems like those wide they cover every gap and it's hard. The linebacker user I have tried to because I feel like I'm one of the ones that's also has struggled maybe with that because I'm pretty good at the user linebacker and that was just trial and error because I got away from the defensive end. I didn't want to play the defensive end. I wanted to play linebacker. And anyway, but I feel like, I'm kind of like Dwayne, some of those things, if you feel kind of dirty and cheap when it happens. Because I do control my linebacker. And if it's a running play or a play action pass, 90% of the time I bite on it because I come crashing in trying to stop the run. And then I'm bailing back out. And it seems like when you're bailing back out, and like Dwayne said, you're frustrated because you're like, I just gave up a pass play, then you're just mashing buttons at that point in time.
Playing football.
Mashing buttons, trying to do anything to recover, to get back out there, and then your linebacker makes an insane 15-foot high interception pick, in the cross the middle, but I to kind of get, I guess, away from it, and this is just a personal thing that I've started doing is I'm controlling every player in the defensive backfield. I've started playing some on safety some plays, some on the slot corner some plays, and some on the outside corner. And I actually had 2 picks with the cornerback on Massimo with the slot cornerback.
You picked me off too with the outside guy.
Yeah, and so don't just and like I said, this is me personally. You don't have to do it, but maybe don't just settle for just one position. And sometimes I think it can play into your hand because the guy gets used to he's going to be using the middle the middle linebacker.
You're 100% right.
And you switch to that slot, and he's going to try to throw a outside flat play really fast. Well, you're in that slot, and you can step up and pick that ball. And again, like Dwayne said, it's chess match. Don't just limit yourself just to one. Well, I'm just going to be the linebacker, and that's it. I'm just going to be defensive end. That's it. Play around with it. Have fun with it, but just don't limit yourself to one player.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Dwayne, on your championship, buddy, and I hope that you enjoy it. That's the thing about winning championships is that Guys are so ready to move into the off season. I just feel like we shoot right past it. And but really, congratulations. We'll get that. I'll send you a PM later today, and we'll get that trophy over to you. Let me just pause really quick. This has nothing to do with the OMFL, but I did just have an email pop up early or actually on my phone. That's what it was. I picked up my phone to turn on YouTube so that I could see the comments while we do the show, in case anybody watches the show. It looks like some leadership here have all pitched in and sent me a little bit of a gift to buy PUBG. So for those of you guys who did that, I appreciate it. I know Pootie T looks like he kind of headed that up. So yeah, thank you guys. I definitely don't deserve that. And yeah, I appreciate everything that everybody has done. So yeah, I just wanted to pause for a quick second and say thanks for that. It's going to toss us right into the off season. I know that this is we're in the re-sign phase. I did a lot of work last night. I'm going to work on the draft show today. So I've got like a lot of work, but it's a nice, cold, rainy Saturday. The wife is not going to get out of her pajamas. I plan on not doing too much today. So I'm going to get the award show done today for everybody, get that out. And we'll make sure that we announce the incentive award winners. The Pro Bowl is out. Maniac, I know that we brag on you for there's a couple of things that you've done here. The incentive tracking form, the Coach of the Year that we do every year, the top 20 list that you do every year at the end of MAD, just superb. And this is another one where you took my idea and really ran with it, and that is the Pro Bowl. And it's just been... I love it. I just do. We kill the in-game XP awards just because they're stupid. They're too much. And we don't have any control over tuning it. So we actually turn off XP, advance into the playoffs, turn them back on at 50% for playoff teams. And then the way that we make up for that is we do our own Pro Bowl where the owners vote. Do you remember how many votes we got this year? I know the number was pretty high.
We actually had 31 votes.
That's amazing. So 31
yeah,
guys took their time, and I think you even say one guy outside of the league even voted.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I actually noticed that person had been watching some of the videos from some of the street because they had commented. That was pretty awesome. I thought that that.
It's super cool. So we award XP by that, and we have our normal awards that Colin does for us. Thanks so much for doing that, Colin. He puts those out. So we have, that's the way we make up for it, plus our incentive plan, plus the gold sheet. I still hope that somebody does a fantasy football one. I think that would be amazing. But just like, I don't know. I love what we do, and it is a lot of work, but so many other guys put in the work, and it's a home run, and I love what we do, and I love how we do it. So, yeah, thank you for that. We do have the Pro Bowl announced. We will get the other awards announced on the award show. I'll try my very best to get that out today, and then the team is going to help us start to redo all of the incentive plans as you guys post where you want to use your XP and that kind of stuff. And so we'll get that all posted and get that out there. The draft... what's the word I'm looking for? The draft order is posted. All the threads are posted. Everything is updated. You should be good to go. I've tried to make this easy. There's a post that I have here. You can find it with the code !OMFL off season. That will bring this up. But I have like an all-in-one post. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Right here, business season all-in-one post. This has everything that you need. All the re-signed threads, the position exemption threads, the draft night vote, the PSD, the Photoshop items if you want any awards, the calculator, the draft order, everything that you need. Even all the votes were there, the incentive plan, everything is there for you. A little bit of a dip in incentive plan submissions this year. I think we only had 8. They were almost all gold, which just shows that those 8 guys really put in the work. Love to see that number come up. I'd love to see a 12 to 15, like half the league participating in the incentive plan. It's easy. It just is so easy. You get points for playing your game, for posting, for Twitter posts, for articles. Like, you get so many points for things that are just really easy to do and not very time consuming. So everybody can participate. If you scheduled your game within 24 hours, played your game within 24 hours, posted Twitter, just did like literally downloaded the game recap thing from either Madden Recap or from Data Leagues, and you just posted that every single week, like, you would gain enough points to get to gold or almost get to gold. So it's just super easy, and it's there for you. With all that said, what are you guys thinking about the offseason? The rumors are that the free agency is going to be pretty jam-packed. Now, something weird, everybody, I'm just putting this out there as a PSA or whatever those things are called. You should check your team. Madden did something weird and cut like 10 players on my team for no reason. These are guys that I didn't get an opportunity to re-sign that shouldn't have been up for re-sign, because I actually signed a couple of them to 2-year contracts last year. I don't know why it did it. It cut guys on my roster and on practice squad. Like, it just, so I have a protected players list because I want to keep all those guys. So all of you should check your rosters, make sure that didn't happen to you. Hopefully it's just a one-off thing that happened. But if that did happen, let us know. We'll make a list of protected players, and you have round 1 and round 2 to try to get those guys signed. If they're not signed by round 3, then they're free game. They're open to everybody. So anyway, what are you guys hearing about the free agency? What do you think hearing about offseason? We've got teams like the Seahawks are packing away draft picks and are going into the offseason with lots of money. Maniac, I know that you're cutting guys trying to go into the offseason with lots of money. I lost my center and Drew Brees. They both retired. And so I'm going in there looking for a quarterback with, I've got lots of money that I can spend. And so I'm going to be heavy in the quarterback department. So what are you guys hearing? What are you looking forward to? Give me a quick recap, Maniac, as we get into the offseason or business season, number 82.
Yeah. Well, definitely hearing a lot of chatter. Guys are trying to make room stuff. Obviously you see in the chat where guys are like, trying to put their best Mo salesman on view, to try to get that one player traded away or something, to get a little cap space. But I was looking. My cat's outside the window meowing, so if you it's like, let me in. But some of the highest players right now are teams with a lot of cap space. Seattle Seahawks has $106 million. Again, like I said, they have like a 72 overall team, but he stacked the draft picks now, and then now he's got like a ton of cash. So look for this team probably to be stacked with a bunch of talent going into season 82. And I definitely think he's going to be pushing for playoffs again, probably pushing for a Super Bowl. There is some that they look like they're on life support right now, even with their cap. I think there was a couple that was like only like a million above the cap as it was from what I was looking at last night. So those guys are in a little bit of trouble, and they don't have much room to cut without taking a lot of penalties because being the GM I was scoping out everybody's rosters to see who looked like was fixing to come off the roster for free agency, trying to give me a little idea of who was going to be out there and who I might want to target going into the free agency period and stuff. But there is some teams that's going to struggle that maybe had some bad season this last season. If they don't make any cap space, they're going to have to throw all their chips in this draft, and hopefully, they didn't trade away their draft to get their team to where it is at the point now. So they may be looking at a difficult times ahead in this next season.
Falcons and Seahawks are going to be the two most dangerous teams this offseason. Like, yeah, the Falcons clearly tanked, and the Seahawks also just gathered great picks from his dealings. Like, those two teams are going to be, the NFC is going to be stupid.
Yeah. Both those guys kind of have a little bit different philosophy. Obviously, like I like the way Dwayne put it. Like Mo tried to tank, but didn't tank. But D there and with the Falcons and stuff. He tanked it. It was obvious. AFC side, I think it's going to be even Dwayne. Just winning the Super Bowl. I think he's going to have close to about $37 million. I think, or maybe it's 27. But he's got a little bit of room to play in the free agency. So it's going to see some teams that really know how work the GM side of their teams, make a push, and I believe this free agency period is going to have a lot of big names. So it's going to be exciting times.
D-Wayne, what do you think about the offseason?
I think you're going to have a lot more excitement this offseason. I mean, everybody was excited for last, so let's just say that everybody's excited when the offseason starts, for one, because they're ready to get the next season started. And, some guys just prefer the GM side of things in general. They just love building their teams. They would love to win, but they just love building a team. And I will say that I think it's enjoyable building a team into your own form per se. Nobody loves safeties like I do. I went with a hybrid 4 safeties in my secondary. So it's just one of those things where I think everybody has their own niche and everybody has their own way they want to build teams. And I think that's the fun part of what we do here. Another fun part, But I think this offseason you're going to see a lot of studs in free agency. I think that's what the differential is. I think last year you had a few muddy diamonds in free agency. This year you have some really shiny ones, and you have a lot of them. I just know I'm putting 2 or 3 guys in there myself that either one of them regressed just enough to where I didn't feel like he was worth the money. He's still a solid player, but he just regressed more. The month cost versus value just wasn't there. And then Sheard is going to be a free agent, so and I know D-Law is going to be a free agent. There's a couple 88 and up defensive ends that if guys are looking for pass rush, they're proven pass rushers. They're going to be there. I think you've seen some teams talk about, Maniac for one had some guys he was talking about letting go. I think he did let go of some big name guys. If I'm not mistaken, McCoy and JPP, you let him go.
That's correct.
You're talking about guys, man. McCoy is still a monster. Yeah. Jace Pierre-Paul is still a monster. I will say that. Don't sleep on these defensive ends that are 75, 76. I know Paul's, I think, like 79 or 80. But I played with Deion Jordan for the last 2 years, and a guy who is making $3-4 million a year, I think he averaged 6-7 sacks a game, and I think that's adequate for what I paid for him. And I think you were talking about guys with a lot of money and guys that don't have a lot of money is I think some of these guys, and I don't want to name anybody by name, but I got one team in particular I'm talking to here. Don't go blow your whole load in week 1 of free agency. And I think we could all agree that we know who I'm talking about. And I understand how you want to go for these big name guys, but there has to be, you can reach on some guys, but you got to be responsible with your cap to the point where you can't just strap yourself down to where you're stuck with this guy at 30 years old for the next 5 years and there's no way out from under it. I think teams just have to be smart in that aspect. Name the guy, but I'm not going to. But
just do it.
But with that being said, you just have to learn to manage. That guy.
Does he not like laws?
Say what?
So does he not like laws?
We'll just say he's in the NFC. I don't want to call nobody out. But like I said, you just have to. Hey, if that guy you want, man, if he's at 160 points and you really can't afford to get him, you just have to. I mean, it sucks to not get the guy you want to get, but sometimes then you just have to draw your line where you can go to, and if you can't get him, you can't get him. And I think that's where some of these teams. You look at Mo, and I know we say Mo. We like to mess around with Mo and how he does build his team a certain way. He knows how to sell guys to people. But he does come into cap. I mean, he has a lot of cap room, and he'll build his team the right way. And it's easy to build the right way when you have $80 million. But yeah, I think some guys could take that, and you need to take his formula and build it your own way. You just have to, like I said, man, you got to be able to find bargain guys you can get a good deal on that you can look at the value versus production and kind of meet in the middle there. Like I said, I won't be able to get Shree. I can't ever say his name. Sheard, as somebody who's 30 years old and he wants 6 years. And even with the tag, I just couldn't justify paying him. Well, I think it was 16 million. Is that what y'all said earlier on the defensive end tag, or 17 million? It was something really high.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't afford age versus production slash. I have 29 million, which I think I'm gonna have like 20 million after I did a few re-signs. So I won't be I'll be a player, but I won't be a major player like some of these teams will. You just have to judge that. I mean, I'll use the example. Clay Matthews is somebody that I love. I love Clay Matthews. I think he's awesome. Is Clay Matthews worth $10 million a year at 33 years old? No, he's not. He's a guy. It's just that type of player that you have to look at value versus production. And I think this offseason should be where some teams really shape their thing up, because some of these guys have really, last season they held back because they knew the free agent market wasn't very good last season. Some people overspent, and it's gonna suck for them this offseason because you overspent the first year when our free agent market wasn't real great. But this is why we have those rules in place, because we have a free agent market that, unless it really shocks me, unless some of these guys don't hit the market that I think is going to hit the market, I think you have a really flush group of players that are going to be, guys are going to be able to get some game changers. And you were talking about Mo versus, Dritish or D-Money. I will say this, D-Money, you can look at like Mo. I guess if you could work the magic to go 12-4, make the playoffs, and still get number 3 overall pick, that's a win in my book compared to 1-15 and get the number 1 overall pick. Not everybody can be Mo. But I couldn't do that. But like I said, guys, you have to also look at, I'll just use that trade for example. I know it's the elephant in the room. Trading Wagner, I can't remember his first name. Wagner for the number, and I understand you probably didn't think you were gonna have the. I hope you didn't think you were gonna have the number 3 overall pick and trade for Wagner. But I mean,
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner. And I know that's and I'm a short-sighted player when it comes to trade myself. I like to get more experienced guys that are ready to plug and play, but you have to find the middle ground. And man, I will tell you this: to transfer it for a first-round pick, you better be getting somebody that you can play with for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yep.
And I will say that I traded my first-round pick to D-Money, it's a late first-round pick for Vic Beasley, who Vic Beasley will be an impact player for 3 or 4 years. He's on a pretty reasonable contract. Thank God he got worse as the Maddens have went on, because he used to be a max player. But it's just, you got to be the middle ground. I know you can't tell guys how to build their teams and how to play the off season, but we also don't want to run in 3 or 4 seasons. So where last night we ran into guys that had no cap room, had 40 players in their roster, and are like, help me. And I don't know what you want us to do, man. You got to be manageable. You can't sign everybody. That's just part of being a GM. And I know, like I said, and Mo will get me later about using him as an example, but and I know, like I said, we take some knocks at Mo about the way he does stuff, but Mo, he's going to have money, and you're not going to catch him without money.
Yeah, he's shrewd, but he does it right.
I don't know. Maybe that's his Jewish side.
Yeah, I think I've made a business decision that, if he can sell some of these trades that he sells, then I'm just going to make him my pimp, because he can sell me to anybody if he can make people agree to these trades.
Well, let's just say that, Nate. I seen a picture of you last night on Facebook. This is not nothing to do with pimping you out. But you look pretty clean. I'm not going to lie. I need to get me some Jordans and stuff like that, because I don't look that good when I go out on town. It'd probably be pretty easy to pimp you out.
I don't believe that at all. I've seen pictures of you. Good-looking fella. So now that we have made everything awkward on this show, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with a bow. Again, it is the off-season. I know it falls on a weekend. It is the holidays, which is why I can't extend that's why the draft night is only 2 nights, because come Thursday I'm gone for the week, because I've got holiday parties and different things, and call me selfish, but yes, the draft does most of the time revolve around me, because I do the draft show, and I do I work really, really hard here, and I think that I'm owed the draft at least. So yes, Tuesday or Wednesday are the options. Sunday or Monday would just be too fast. We'd have to really hit the gas, and I know when we do things on the weekends, it's really tough, because I know some guys completely unplug on the weekends and go do what they want to do. But it is what it is, and this is how it fell, and so this is what we got to do. I'm hoping that with a Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday draft, that we'll have more people be able to participate. So it should be a fun time. I love the off season. It's always a really fun time. Spend wisely. Take care of your team. Ask the right questions if you're confused. There will be a protected player list, so make sure that you check that out. But just lots of really good things. Let me do my thing really quick and talk about the different places you can find us. GrownFolksOC.com. We will be adding 2 more Madden leagues to this community over the Christmas break. So by the time we get to January 1, we're going to have the OMFL, the NBC, the TFL, the OMFL2, and then 2 additional leagues, which is really, really crazy. But we are growing. It looks like we will also be adding PUBG to the chats and to kind of the options that we play here. So that will be an option here very soon. You can also find us on Twitter, GrownFolksOC. Give us a follow, please. We'll follow you right back. Like us and subscribe to us here on YouTube, youtube.com/C/GrownFolks Online Community. So you can definitely find us there. I think we're at 231 followers. I'd love to try to get us up around 300. Just kind of keep inching that up and inching that up. So give us a like, a subscribe, and make sure you check out our notifications and join. Hit the little bell icon so you can be part of the notification squad. So you'll see these Press Pass Lives and the other videos as they come out, because there's lots of really great content that comes out. If you're in one of the leagues here, you can always share your stuff to our playlist. We have a playlist for every league that's in our community. You just type !share, then whatever league you're in, all one word, all together. So share OMFL, share NBC, share GFW, the wrestling league, like whatever league you're in, it will give you not only a thumbnail, it will give you the directions on how to do it, it will give you the link that you need, so everything that you need is there. And then finally, Grown Folks OC on Twitch. Give us a like and a subscribe there. I usually do all my streaming here first because I can do in high definition, and then I transform over to YouTube unless it's a live show. And then live, we go straight live to YouTube. So just lots of ways to get involved, to check us out. And as you can hear, my entire family is up and about and making lots of noise. So we're going to go ahead and put a bow on the show. Give me some closing remarks, Maniac.
Great season. Playoffs were awesome. I'm looking forward to free agency and reloading for season 82. So.
D-Wayne, closing thoughts. Take us home.
And with him, it was a great season. It was a great playoffs. Very, very competitive playoffs. I felt like the disparity closed a little bit when I say I thought every playoff team had a shot this year. I think it was really good playoffs. And I will say, I'll leave on this. There's 4 teams I want to see make some moves this offseason because I expect y'all to make moves and make a playoff run or a playoff push. One of them is the Rams. I want to see the Rams make a move. I want to see Josh and the Bills make a move. I want to see naked Puerto Rico and the Ravens make a move. And I want to see Outlaw and the Texans. I want to see what you do with the Texans this offseason with the talent you got. So y'all 4 are on blast. I want to see what y'all do because y'all are 4 teams I expect a lot out of this next year.
Yep, and my closing remarks are going to be, I know that Bill rubs some people wrong and some of you don't like his passion. I personally do. The guy does a lot of really hard, tedious work here, and he keeps us running. He keeps us flowing, and that is a very underappreciated position. We will be adding maybe 1 or 2 board members here. I'd love to find somebody that would take scheduling and flip-flop with Bill. So one season somebody does it, the next season Bill does it, the next season that other person does it, and it just flip-flops so that people would get a break and a breather, because everyone who has ran scheduling has burned out. Whether it's Dawson, I think Maniac maybe did it for a little bit. Like everyone who does it ends up getting burnt out, and I'd love to find somebody that could just flip-flop. So if you're interested, it comes with some perks. Definitely some perks that you get for it. Not XP or nothing, so we're not cheating, but there's definitely some little perks that I do. Just to kind of thank you. All board members are automatically gold incentive award winners because they all work really, really hard. So there's some little perks that we give you. If you'd be interested in helping Bill with the scheduling and just being somebody that would flip-flop with him and allow him to do other things. I'm saying all that because he's already made a great list this morning of teams who haven't checked in, and so he's going to help us keep us flowing. So get checked in after you get your 53 or your re-signs done. Stay as close to 53 as you can. You can carry up to 72 players. I know you're going to be cutting players trying to save money and all that stuff, but do your best to stay as close to 53 as you can the entire offseason, because I just don't want to get to week 4 of the preseason and you're at 47, and now you got to go sign 10 players. Like, I don't want to do that. So keep yourself as close to that as you possibly can. It should be a good time. So for Maniac, for D. Wayne, for all the board here in the OMFL, thank you so much for tuning in to Press Pass Live this morning. Have a great off season. Have a wonderful week. God bless you. We'll see you around the corner. Peace.
Later, guys.
Later.